What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Revit video. In this one, we're going to look at stairs once again, but we're going to look at how to make a stair or draw a stair by sketch. This is not something I ultimately recommend, but it does have its time and place. I will just say that. So before we get into it, if at any point in this video you happen to learn something, which I hope you do, because why are you here? Please demolish that like button. It really helps out a lot. Also, consider subscribing if you enjoy this kind of content. That really does help too. Okay. I would highly recommend that you look at other stair videos that I've done. I've done like an intro so far and then like basic modeling of stairs, and that'll bring you up to speed. Now, you don't necessarily have to watch those because this is a bit different, but this entire playlist will build on itself when it comes to stairs. So the first thing we want to do if we want to get started with drawing a stair by sketch is, why would we want to do this? Well, we want to do this if we want to draw a stair, of course, that is, let's call it abnormal. That's different. That isn't parallel. The supports aren't parallel. If we want it to do something different. Now, I will say the place that I've done this the most is with monumental stairs or convenience stairs, stairs that are not typically used for means of egress. And that is because the shape here is a bit different. Now, it doesn't mean that these stairs couldn't comply with a means of egress stair requirements, but it was more or less that if you're going to have something different or weird or a feature stair, then it's likely that you're going to do it a different way, and you can't do it and model it in such a traditional way. And traditional being that I'm just going to draw these stairs here. Okay, so let's say I want to change my level 2. Maybe we want to put level 2 down to, 10 to 12 feet. And so with level 2 at 12 feet, that's just kind of something we know now moving forward. Let's go back to stair. And of course, I've got some options here. I can, of course, draw a straight run, circle, spiral, winder, all this kind of stuff that we'll get into future videos. But the last option here is create sketch. Whenever I click on this, we have a lot of options here. We've got boundary. Basically what the boundary, the extents of the stair itself. Then we have riser. We literally draw in specific risers. And then we have like a stair path, as in like the actual direction the stair's going, or like which way's up. So how would we do this? Well, I can draw a boundary, and for the sake of this, I'm going to draw it as a straight stair for now, and we'll start to edit it from there. And so the way to do it is I draw a boundary and then I draw another boundary. And this is basically your run width. You got your run width. Just think of it as I don't have to fill a sketch, create a sketch, or like complete a sketch, have it completed all the way around. Because this is very different, the way Revit is reading you drawing these lines. So then I've got risers. It literally says I created 0 risers and I have 21 remaining. And that's just because based on the math that I have, for 12 feet floor to floor, and I've got a default of 7-inch risers max. So with that, I probably want to draw one here that's, I don't know, let's call it a foot. If we're just trying to make this easy, you can see as soon as I draw that line, I've got a number 1 here, and I've got 20 more. Well, let's make this a bit easier on ourselves and start copying this around. And so I'm just going to copy these one at a time, and you can see that number is changing, 5, 6, and you can see how many I've created, which is really nice. Now, making sure that I'm straight, because if I draw this somewhere else, like literally if I just draw it somewhere else, I'm still going to get that number increase, but obviously this is not where I want these. So you can clearly see I have messed all of these up, but that doesn't matter. I can take all these and copy them just like this. So like that, and then like that. And you can see I've actually made 3 more than I should have created. And so with that, I can just get rid of these 3. And look, so we have our 21 created. So obviously my boundary should extend all the way to the end, because hello, that makes the most sense. And so cool, we're pretty much there. And so finally, stair path. This is literally, if we can see here at the bottom, it says click to enter line start point. Well, this is basically, you can put it wherever you want, but it's typical that it's going to make a little more sense to put this mostly centered and then just draw it up to the top. And so this is going to be, more or less the center. If we can actually make it the center, that's going to be the center of my line, or the center of my stair, which is cool. And so whenever I finish this, we can see invalid stair path. Stair path should connect both start and end riser and cross all other risers. Okay, well, so what is that telling me? That is telling me that I need this boundary to come here, this boundary to come here. So the boundary has nothing, it has less to do with the actual risers, because I need to physically draw the risers, and the boundary will just bound them. Sure, let's say that. So we'll finish this. And cool, I've literally made my stair. Now, this is, it's done. I've made my stair. And with that, I can always come back and edit the sketch and do whatever I need to. Now, what is the appeal of this? Well, the appeal of this is I can literally do something as ridiculous as this. And you can see it's dragging all of these lines with it. For some reason, not the last one. That's okay. The cool thing is I can leave this here because this is just the direction. And I can finish this, and it's done. This is really easy. Now I have this stair. Now, how often do you have a stair like this? Not so often. But, you know, this is basically the application that I have used this before. And it is something exactly like this. We can use our lovely extend tool and extend all of these elements right there, and then kill that boundary. Look at this. So, you know, do you like this? Is it necessary? No, I don't know. Now, I've done this a lot when it comes to, again, these monumental stairs, because I haven't had to deal with landings, turning corners, weird angles and radiuses, things like that. I wouldn't recommend trying to do that. And why is that? Because it's so painful, and I want to get into, let's say, more of the way that I would start to model with sketches here in just a bit. But just to show you one other thing, we can get kind of as insane with this as you want, be basically within reason, because I can angle this. I can even do the exact same thing, but come out that way. Like, we can get done with it. And now, again, would you do this? Not sure, but just to show you the capabilities of this kind of tool, you can clearly see this is something that we can do. Obviously, we want to extend all of these just like this. Okay, and then we're done here. And again, no problems. I mean, looking at this in 3D, this is exactly what we would, I guess, hope, or not even hope, but expect. And so you can see where I drew that run line is going to show up here in 3D as well. Not a big deal. So cool. And the nice thing is, if I even finish this, I'm going to get my rails on it. And those rails will be based on how you want rails to show up by default. Obviously, this is taking a moment because this is very complicated, but the rails do, at least, they appear to work for the most part. Obviously, here at the end, it looks a bit weird, mainly because of the radius, but everywhere else, it looks pretty good. So this is not a bad example. I would probably change things up here a bit. You can see as we get a little tighter here, this last tread is a bit lost as far as the support goes, and it just, I don't know. So just something to be aware of. Once the angle gets too tight, you get these kind of issues. So with this said, let me show you how I typically end up drawing sketch stairs. And if we go back to our floor plan, it's going to basically the exact same, or at least it will end up being the exact same. So I'm actually not going to start by drawing a sketch because I think it's a giant waste of time. And so what do I mean? Well, if we start in the same place and we just draw our single run up here, boom, I'm done. I'm literally done at this point. I've made my stair. Now, if I want to make this a sketch, I simply click on this and then convert. This convert to sketch based is going to convert that to a sketch based stair, meaning I can edit that however I want, whenever I want, the exact way that I did with this ridiculous monumental stair. Now, here's the giant caution. Once I do this, here it is actually. Converting an automatic landing or run component, which is basically the automatic part of making a stair, to a custom-based component is irreversible. That's a great word. I don't think Revit uses this word anywhere else. It should use it a lot of different places based on what is not reversible. You can edit the sketch of a custom component. So yeah, this is basically giving you the capability to do what we did with this monumental stair, but it will not be reversible. You can't take it back to an automatic stair. And like, okay, we're acknowledging this. Great. So actually nothing happened. And you'll also notice whenever I click on the run, I cannot convert this because it's irreversible. But what I can do is edit the sketch. So as soon as I do that, look at this. We are very familiar with what this is, what it does, what it looks like, all of this. And just like before, I can get kind of insane with this. With my boundary, I can even do something like this. if I want to get really done with it, I can trim this with that, and then finally extend all of these lines. Again, is this something you want to do? Totally up to you. Is this something that I find myself doing? No, I try not to, mainly from the fact that it is irreversible. Because if it were reversible, I could almost see myself wanting to do this, maybe a bit more, just because I would have the capability of changing it. Now, I don't know, you can see the effort that this does take to go to. It's obviously, if you might have to do this, and that's kind of the point of this video, is there will be times where you have to do this because you don't want just a 4-foot wide stair that runs all the way up and is consistent. You need something like this. Yeah, is it pretty? Maybe to a degree, or maybe to someone, but yeah, it looks kind of eh. So that's cool. That's how I would do it. I would basically start with an automatic sketch and then convert that. And so why would we want to do that? Again, because it's so painful to have to draw everything out individually, whereas automatic converting it is going to make it real easy to at least give you a starting point. My gosh, that's close enough. Okay, 99.999% of the time, and by that I mean maybe one time in my entire life have I had to change something specific about an egress stair. So we're going to talk egress stairs. And so when it comes to that, I do want to make sure that we have, basically a switchback. That's kind of what we can expect to see. And so this is fantastic. This looks great. This is totally what I would expect to see. Great. I'm happy with this going from level 1 to 2. We've got our desired number of risers. Everything's covered. And so if I finish this, it's done. Looking at this in 3D, that is the fundamental switchback stair I would expect to see. Now, I don't have a landing, which is, again, really easy to fix. I can come into landing, choose this first and then the second run, and it will make it automatically. Now, here's something interesting. For the sake of this, let's say that I have, an intermediate landing. Let's go ahead and check on this landing. Now, what I have here is the landing. And it's going to give you this relative height, which this isn't all that helpful. But just know that this is pretty close. Let's call this 5'8.5". So if I come in here and I'm going to make a floor, go back to my floor plan, and I'm going to make a floor, and this is going to be at 5'8.5". But let's start it right here, pretty close to the end, and it's going to be like this. So I've seen this a lot of times. And again, imagine this is an exit stair. 5'8.5", 5'8.5". We finished this, and okay, where did the floor go? Right there. So the example here is that there might be a place where I have a door, and I need to connect a landing with an interstitial landing, something like that. I don't necessarily have to go through this process for every door that I have at a landing or something like that. But this is something I could definitely do. So here we go. I can see the floor. Great. So let's go ahead and draw some walls here. Again, I'm not worried about fire ratings, anything like that, because that's not really that important to me. It will be in a future video. I will looking at stairs in particular. We'll look at the code for stairs. Okay, cool. We've got this, and I am going to go ahead and just place a random door right here. And I know this is obviously not big enough. We are going to ignore the sizes and everything. So actually, for the sake of this, I'm going to make this look a little bit more believable. Let's make these 4.5 feet. Yep. And then make this 4.5 feet. This is something, let's call it more normal. And I'll select these and move these where they should go. Okay, wonderful. And then we're going to draw our door, put our door in here. Great. This is totally what I would expect to see. Something like this. So now I'm trying to model this. Obviously, we want the door at 5'8.5". 5'8.5". Cool. So for modeling this, I'm just going to delete the railings because we don't care about those, but the landing is what we care about. Now, maybe the landing happens to be, this works. And so what can we do to fix this? Well, I can actually delete this one support. This is it's not 100% accurate as to how it would show up in the field, but I can delete that. And as soon as I finish that, boom, it's done. But you'll also notice now I'm really not 100% correct. while this support is coming into the floor and like this looks right, I'm missing some extra landing area. So this is where, I honestly don't like doing this. But what we can do is, if we want to keep these runs as like actual stairs, and by stairs I mean automatic and not manual, not sketch, what I can do is convert this only this landing into a sketch. And you can see I can click each one of these runs and convert those to sketches. See that up here? I can do that, convert, and change this just to convert, or I can change this entire landing to convert to a sketch. Why would I want to do that? Well, in this case, I want to actually fill this gap that I see right there. Like, clearly that belongs there. Now, before I even do that, this is what we can do. Keeping this automatic, I can just simply drag this. Boom, done, easy. I don't have to make it a sketch. That's awesome. So you might wonder, well, why would you do this at all? Well, I'm going to show you. So we're going to keep that just like that. Actually, I'm going to undo this, but bring that support back. And so with this support back, cool. So what kind of an application might we do this? Well, if this door just happens to be over here, and we know that this landing is going to extend out to catch this door over here, and basically this is just an intermediate landing, it's another exit spot, and so it just happens to be that the door hits here versus on the landing. Well, what is our actual solution? Well, coming back to plan, there's two solutions. One is less ideal. We can basically make an entire room or floor area, more space for activities if I drag this all the way to the end, basically to catch the door. That's completely absurd. Obviously, if maybe you need this for an area of refuge, I don't know, that's a completely different story. But assuming you're not going to do that, you have one other option, and that is to convert this landing and this landing only to a sketch. And just note, we're going to get this exact same error, and it's not even an error, it's just more of a warning. Obviously, this is irreversible. I will say, for landings, this is not completely irreversible. While it says it is, it's not. And I'll show you that too. So we'll close this. And so clearly I've lost my dimensions that I can change, but I now can edit the sketch, which is great, I guess. So let's go ahead and edit this. And so cool. The nice thing about landings is that they are quite easy to edit. So first of all, let's drag this to the end. You'll notice whenever I finish this and complete this, these supports will go away and they'll error out and whatever. But we want to capture this door. Well, let's go ahead and maybe just cut this in half here, and then pull this over there, and then trim all of this together. Trim that, and trim this. So cool, okay. I mean, this is a nice enough looking landing, basically an intermediate landing where we're catching this other door. The landing's continuing on to connect to each one of these stair runs. Great. Now, as soon as I finish this, it will work, and it's great. Then the cool, I guess you could say, the automatic thing about this, even still, is that my supports will automatically be added to the sides of this landing, which is great. And you'll notice it actually did add it to this backside. So I just need to highlight that. We can see it there as well as in 3D, and we can simply delete that. So cool. This is actually looking really good. This is what I would expect and more or less hope to see if I did come across a situation like this. Because it does happen, and it's happened to me before. This is probably one or two projects where I've had to do something like this. Okay, so let's say, because what's going to inevitably happen? Well, we're going to accept this. Cool, we're done. What will we say now? Well, we're going to say that something's going to happen, and that this is going to change, as in the door is going to go back to being over here. Or better yet, let's say we don't need this door at all. We don't need to connect to it. We don't need to do anything, nothing. And what does that mean? Well, we're stuck with this dang landing as a sketch, and that's awful because it is. Now, look at this. This is so simple to fix. Now, well, let's say you come across a more ridiculous situation. I'm not even going to bother fixing this. But let's say you come across with a more ridiculous situation that you need to fix, or you just want to find yourself back to where you were. And that's essentially what I need to do, because I was just going to continue the stair up with a basic landing that covers the same width as the stair run. That's it. That's all I need to do. Well, because it's a landing, and because I did not convert either of these runs to sketches, I have a little bit more flexibility, specifically with landings, which is great. So what can I do? Well, let's get rid of this. Delete it. Completely delete it. Why? Because I can simply come back to landing and do the exact same thing. pick the first run and pick the second run. Pick the first, pick the second. Look, we're done. We're back to where we were. And even better, this landing has not been converted into a sketch. Totally great. So I have every other option that I need to deal with. Fantastic. Look at this in 3D. I have my supports. I have everything that I would expect to see. This is great. So, well, I'm going to undo this, particularly because I want to experiment and show you what happens if I take this stair run and convert this to a sketch. Well, yeah, once this becomes a sketch and I delete this landing, let's see if we still have that flexibility. I go to landing, select the first run, select the second. Yes, that's even cooler. The fact that I can go through and make these stairs ridiculous sketches and then have it make landings. So that's great. The last thing we'll look at is that this same thing applies to different types of stairs. Now I'm going to go over the next video. We'll cover the other types of stairs, but if I just draw a spiral stair, I would, believe me, especially for these, you will not see me trying to model in these round boundaries and riser lines and all of this myself. I'm going to make this and then convert this myself. And so finally, this is a sketch that I can easily work with. And I say easily with quotations and a hesitation because I don't like it. But look at this. This is immediately more workable. And I can do just about anything that I want to change this. And this totally makes more sense to do than to do what I was working with before. Like this, it makes a little more sense. So just know that you can do that all the same. And I would totally, like, if I didn't make the case for you with these straight runs to model it like automatically with basic runs, whatever, then convert it, I don't know how to do it, because with the winders and the round spiral stairs, yeah, it will take you days and you'll go crazy trying to figure it out. But that will do it for this video. We looked at creating stairs by sketch, which I honestly, if I had to sum it up, I would say try and avoid it. Don't do it if you don't have to. And believe me, you will know when you have to, because you'll come across a weird landing situation like that, or you'll come across the fact that you need weird boundaries and stairs. And if you just need weird boundaries, it's quite easy to deal with. So if you did happen to learn something, please demolish that like button. It helps me out quite a lot. Also consider subscribing. That does as well. So I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for watching.